How you doing? Nope. My name's not Earl. I'm the lawnmower lady, and I like fixing small engines. Today's video is going to show you how I do a routine maintenance, call it a tune-up, on a riding lawnmower. These are small ones, 42-inch blade. Sometimes people call them a lawn tractor. Follow along. Okay, this tune-up maintenance video I'm doing today is on a John Deere D110 lawn tractor. This is very similar to lots of other brands out there, so a lot of the same thing I'm doing here is going to cross over to those things. I'm going to be replacing the air filter, fuel filter, oil filter. I'm going to be doing some routine maintenance on this. It's not going to include any maintenance on the mowing deck. I'll post a link to some other videos that show how to take off the blades and how to service the deck. But on this mower, what we're going to be doing, in addition to the fuel filter, oil filter, is we'll be just doing some routine checks and maintenance on here. I'll be checking the battery terminals. Here is the dipstick for the oil level. I'll be draining the oil right there. The spark plug, we'll be taking a look at that and cleaning and or replacing if necessary. We'll be lubing up the axle and other points on this mower. There's a Zerk fitting right there. On the other side is where the air filter is on this guy, and the oil filter and the fuel filter, and we'll just be doing some good old fashioned maintenance. Alright, before we actually get started doing anything, you want to make sure you're parked on a smooth, level surface. You want to make sure the parking brake is on. And I've already checked the air pressure in these tires. Check your owner's manual to get all the specs there. But I've already inflated these to 14 in the rear and 10 in the front. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to check the battery terminals to make sure they're clean and tight. They look pretty clean right now. However, if this did have any buildup of corrosion or acid buildup or whatnot, I would clean that off with baking soda and water. But really all I need to do here is check and make sure they're tight. These are two 10mm wrenches, which I will use to check these. This is the positive terminal, and yep, that's good. The negative over here. Alright, so those are good and tight, and they're clean. So the next thing I'm going to do is move on to check the oil level. I've run this for a few minutes so it would warm up. And it looks to me like the level is pretty low. Double check that. I always screw it back down on this particular style. And yeah, there's hardly any oil in here. The normal oil fill level should be between these two holes in the dipstick right there, and right now it's hardly just up to barely where that H is on that. So definitely needs some oil, and we'll be changing that out. My apologies here. The video of me draining the oil actually somehow disappeared. I don't know what happened to the video. It was blank when I went back to check it again, but the way it works on this particular one, this little cap here, you turn it clockwise just a hair, pop it off. There is an O-ring under there. It'll gush a little bit of oil out, which you can see it did. And then the best way to get it to continue to gush out is to loosen the cap. That'll help the oil flow faster, and just give it a few minutes. It'll take about 10 minutes or so for it all to drain out. And it doesn't make too big of a mess, but you wipe it up and you'll be good to go. Alright, so I've moved my oil pan over to the other side. I'm going to take off the oil filter, and hopefully... no, it's not turning. You can use all kinds of things. I have a big old giant pair of vice grips. See if I can get a hold of that way. I mean channel locks, pardon me. There we go. Yeah, this thing goes on only finger tight. You don't need to tighten it down with a tool. And I expect this to make a pretty big mess. when it comes off of here. Hopefully not too much, because I've already drained all the rest of the oil out of the other side. Yeah, a little bit. All right. Let that keep draining out, and we'll put the new one on. All right, so we've let that drain for a little while. We've cleaned it up pretty good, cleaned up the surface there. I'm going to replace the filter. The oil that you use in this is just a 10W30. And on the new filter, you want to be sure and lubricate this O-ring with some fresh oil and make sure there's no dirt on there. And then carefully screw this on. And you want to tighten that on as tight as you can by hand, and do not use a tool to tighten this up. Finger tight is good enough. There we go. Okay, before we leave this side of the engine, we're going to be checking the air filter, replace it if it needs replacing, and also replace the fuel filter. I'm pretty sure that needs replacing. These are like a little quarter turn. And this filter actually doesn't look too bad. It's a paper filter, just lever it up and pop it out. I think I'm just gonna blow this one out with some compressed air, and I think it's just fine. This paper filter was actually pretty clean. You can clean out paper filters. You want to spray compressed air on the inside. Don't force any dirt in there. And if you don't have a air compressor, just tap the dirt off of it. But there's no oil. It's not saturated. This is good to go. It's going back in. All right, back on the right side, we're going to replace the drain plug here. And if you notice, it has a O-ring right there, so you want to make sure that O-ring's in good shape. All right, make sure it's there. And then this cap goes on and does like just about 1/8 of a turn. Push that all the way on, and this turns counterclockwise. Just a little bit. All right, now we can fill her up. Right, always check your owner's manual, but this particular one takes 1.5 quarts. So we go ahead and pour in 1 quart, and then we'll go get a 2nd quart, or 1/2 of a quart, and we'll pour that in. All right. At this point, I don't see any leaks anywhere. All right, gonna go get that other 1/2 quart. Ah, the joys of live TV. Well, this is not live TV, but I only get one shot to do this. Apparently, with all this heat, my camera can't deal with this. I went ahead and got that other 1/2 quart. Always check your owner's manual, so we're gonna check the oil level right here. Someone much wiser than me once said the right amount of the wrong oil is better than the wrong amount of the right oil. And this is just above, it's hard to see because it's clean, it's just above the high level mark. And I suspect it will be just fine once we fire this thing up and get the oil circulating through the system and fill up that new oil filter. All right, this is going to be kind of hard to see with the exhaust pipe in here, but the spark plug boot is right there. You gently pull that guy off, all right? And the cable looks good. I'm using a 16mm spark plug socket. So this is one of these fancy type of spark plugs, and it's kind of sooty looking, got some black marks on there. We're just going to go ahead and replace this anyway. The manual calls for a RC12YC, that's a champion plug, but the NGK replacement for that is a BKR5E. That's an exact replacement for an RC12YC. And this particular plug does not have a removable cap on there. And you want to check the gap on here, and you don't need a fancy gapping tool. Actually, all you need is a mat cutter knife. And you just want to make sure that that goes in the thick side of the blade without too much movement. It's a little loose. We're going to tap that right there and tap that top electrode down a hair. There we go. That's a much better. And now we're going to put this plug in. Thread it in by hand at first. Don't use a tool. You don't want to cross thread that. It's an expensive repair. All right. Once you get the plug finger tight, all right, there it is snug. You want to go no more than a quarter turn to crush that washer on there. That's it, no more. All right, and then you want to pop the spark plug cap on until you hear a positive click. There we go. All right, I think virtually the last thing we're going to do is grease up the front axle. There's a grease fitting like this on each of the front wheels. Some models actually have a grease fitting on the inside of the wheel. This one does not. So that's two there, and then the one really hard one to get to. I'm not even sure if I can show you this or not. There's one, oh yeah, he's way up, hard to see, under there. And I'll be greasing that guy up as well. Just a couple of squirts, not much. There's lots of different greases you can use. I'm using Castrol grease, but any grease that conforms with NLGI number 2 specification will work. This happens to be a waterproof grease, I do believe, and I use this for lots of stuff like this. Alright, so I'm just using a standard grease gun here. I'm going to pump it once and make sure it's primed. Couple it up. Yep, there it is. It's oozing out right there. Alright, and you pop this fitting right on there. It'll snap in. And just 2 pumps is all you need. 1, 2. Alright. That's it there. We'll get the other side. Alright, on the other side, pop that guy on there. And just 2 pumps. And we should be good to go. Alright, that's it. Alright, this is the one in the center of the front axle. Not sure you can really see much of anything. But I've got the grease fitting on there and 2 pumps. 1, 2, and we should be good to go. Alright, so our maintenance and tune-up is complete. Oil filter, oil change, check the air filter, change the spark plug, new fuel filter, lube the wheels, lube the axle. So we're going to fire this thing up and check for any leaks. Choke on. All right, so there you have it. That's how I do a routine maintenance on a lawn tractor. If you like the videos and you learned something, please push the like and subscribe button and I can make more of these videos. Even if you don't like it, push the like and subscribe. You might see something you like in the future. Thanks for watching. I'm the Lawnmower Lady, and as I like to say, mow happy.